Today we're going to be addressing a lot of questions for new rp'ers. This is going to be a new rp'er episode. First thing we're going to do is get a couple of new rp'ers into the pit to fight each other. So the first fight we're going to have is going to be Blythe and Knight because they're both new to RP. Knight, have you RP'd in any other games?
Negative. Nope.
And you've just attended a couple of RP events in Rift, is that correct?
Well, the first one, I basically watched. The second one, I kind of interacted a little bit more. This one here, I'm actually kind of excited about.
Great. So we're gonna help you and Blythe when Blythe gets into the channel. We're gonna walk you through this pit fight and how to RP through it. You're gonna have a lot of fun. It's gonna be addictive. Trust me. First, we're gonna roll for initiative.
Wait, can I look at what's in the arena first? Because you're supposed to use these objects, right?
Yes, you'll have plenty of time to look around. So when we roll, we're gonna do d20s. And that means you hit /roll space 20, and then you'll get a random roll from the game.
Ooh, I won. So I get to slap him now?
You can do anything you want to, or you can try to slap him. That's the whole thing. You're gonna attempt it.
Good.
So what you're gonna do now, since you're going first and you guys are brawling, you're going to attempt to take an action on him.
So let me ask you this. Can I be silly or should I keep it game realistic? Like I was just thinking I would grab that fishing pole and try to sneak behind and hit him on the rear because Knight and I are friends and that's the kind of thing I would do. But that wouldn't be appropriate. It would be funny, but it would be appropriate.
Is that the kind of thing your character would try to do?
See, no, she wouldn't. She's shy. In an RP environment, she's shy.
Blythe looks around and grabs a brick, aiming for Knight's feet, trying to make him jump up, startled. So you're trying to startle him.
I'm just trying to scare him and make him nervous.
So Knight sidestepped your brick, and he is angered at your timidness. That's a really good emote. He grabs the mace, aiming for your left thigh, and that's
you're in trouble.
That's a really good emote too because he didn't emote hitting your left thigh. He emoted aiming for your left thigh. That is perfect, Knight.
So I outrolled him.
Knight, you're a ringer, aren't you? You've done this before.
He's a natural. He is. He's good at everything.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so Blythe, you have won that roll, so you can defend however you think your character would.
No. Oh gosh. What's the average amount of time it takes people to come up with a response in the pit?
There is no average time. Don't worry about it. You're doing fine, and you're learning, and you're doing well. So
I want to learn so I can do it again.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping that other people will listen and not be afraid to come in. Because if I can not figure it out, but if I can get through this, then anybody can. Trust me.
There you go. You're an inspiration.
So he. Can I get that little clip as a sound clip? I'm going to put that somewhere. He's being a drama queen. He's screaming in pain. Falling in the ground, clutching his left. No, I feel bad. See, my character would go over and go, I'm sorry.
Well, you can't do that. Nothing's stopping you.
Rolling to the right, he picks up the... Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait. He picks up the broken bottle in the sand. Standing with a slight tremor, he crashes towards Blythe, aiming at the broken bottle towards it. Oh my god, you're violent! So I hit Knight again. Actually, I elbowed him in the back after I tripped him, because he missed with his broken bottle. He's gonna start calling me names.
You guys have some good emotes. This is good.
This is fun to do with somebody you know. I would be very timid to do this with somebody that I didn't know because I'm just one of those people. I don't want to offend anyone. So wait, you won that one. Spitting on a mouthful of sand, he spins around, flailing towards Blythe, attempting to knee her. Oh my God.
Well, she doesn't have a set of gonads to hit, so.
Oh my god. Okay. So, all right, I have to think. So I took that hit, right?
You did.
So if I take a hit, then I roll after I take the hit, or do I take the hit and try to hit back?
No, then you emote taking the hit.
I'm such a slow learner.
It's okay. Yeah. You're doing great. You emote taking the hit, and then you take your turn, because then it's your turn. And then you guys roll to see if your action is successful or not.
Here's a noob question for you, Rivka. As I'm typing this, I'm doing the little slash emote, my fist easily avoided, I do comma, and I want to say my face, or do I say Blythe's face? Do I refer to myself in the first person or by pronoun?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Theron. In D&D, when you are role-playing there, you say me and I and things like that. But in an MMO, people usually say my character or she, or use your character's name. So it's a little bit different.
You use third person. Yeah, it is a little bit different. Because you're technically embodying your character in D&D, and in this you're sort of narrating in a way. So yeah, the pronouns change a bit.
That's the third hit, so now what do I do?
So now we'll have Knight emote that he's hit again, and that he is down.
Conceded.
He can concede the fight. He is a little too injured to continue on.
Both of you did excellent. I really enjoyed watching your fight, and you picked up on it super quickly.
What's the appropriate? Should I be nice? This is a nice hit. Like I should shake his hand, or I should just.
It's up to your character.
She's nice. She's nice. She's shy. This is out of character for her to do this. So.
So she's pushing her horizons.
Yeah, this is a little. You get your competitive juices flowing. So that's fun.
I mean, maybe she wouldn't be nice. Who knows? Maybe she'd be in your face. I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out, and that's the fun of RP, isn't it? You never know what they're gonna do.
So we've had some questions submitted to us from new rp'ers. So right now, the first question is, most experienced rp'ers have well-developed character stories. Is it okay to attend RP events before developing your character's background fully? Or should I wait until my story is solid?
I'm sure that some people would argue that you do need, a well-developed story. Personally, I don't think you do. As long as you have a general idea of the character, you don't need a long, involved backstory. So much of that can be filled in as you RP with them more, and sort of the improvisation of RP can help shape the character. So you just making choices on the fly sort of molds them into the person that they're going to be, giving them, defining character traits as you just are inspired along the way.
When you make a character in a game, do you already have in your head who and what that character is going to be story-wise, or does it develop as you level the character and interact with people?
I think I understand what you're saying. And I mean, you can say that you want a certain type of character, but I think what you're asking is their entire future planned out?
Yes.
Is that what I mean?
Planned at birth, yes.
Right, and I agree with Rivka on that. I do not plan out my character's future. Some people do, and that's fine. I personally enjoy not knowing, because I find it more realistic and more entertaining.
I'll read you another question, Theron. I'm walking into my first RP gathering or event. Looking around the room, I don't know anyone. What is your advice on what to do first? Should I observe, jump in, possibly making a mistake, run the other way?
Well, first of all, you cannot ever be afraid to make mistakes. You have to recognize from the offset that you're gonna make mistakes, and that it's okay if you do. It's not the end of the world. That's really important. The second is that any of those options could work. It really just depends on your character, whether or not they would be someone who would just very gregariously introduce themselves up front, or whether they would be more of a wallflower, an observer, taking their time, you know. That's Theron. He has no problem being quiet and just watching. But he also enjoys good one-on-one conversations or conversations with multiple people as they come up, you know. So I think it really comes down to the character and your comfort level, you know. Like you were saying earlier, you write the character, so you want it to be fun for you no matter what.
Well, and we were at the Revelry Lounge last Saturday, which we're going to be streaming that again this Saturday after the Primus. And there was a character there who came in and was very active talking to his pet. And he went and sat across the room and observed everybody and chatted with his pet. And then in the end, yes, he was. His emotes were very good, but he did not actually interact with anybody.
Nope, he was going crazy and doing his own thing, and it was great.
Well, that's cool. Okay. Quick question. How do you guys manage separating yourself as your real life person from your character? Like, if your character is very different than you as a person, how do you do that?
It's like an author who has to write a bunch of different characters for a book. That's how writing an RP character is. You want to create that character, not make it a reflection of yourself.
Okay.
I'm going to read another question for Theron.
Okie doke.
Is there any one common faux pas made by those new to RP easy to avoid? And an example given was learning to walk instead of the default run.
I don't know that I would call that a faux pas. I mean, that's a very small thing. Maybe the biggest thing is being patient with yourself and allowing yourself to make mistakes and giving yourself time to learn. Because, yeah, I mean, there is a learning curve, and there are things to pick up on, you know, certain ways to say different things in different contexts and all sorts of other jazz. But as long as you're being patient with yourself, giving yourself room to learn and to fail and to learn from those failures, that's what's most important.
The next question is, what is the best way to engage another player if you don't know their character or story?
I would say engaging another player is... Alright, let me approach that as it was asked. The best way would be whatever way is most appropriate to your character and the situation that they find themselves in. You know, that's probably going to be said a lot to these different questions, but it's the truth, you know. If you knew them, you know, you would greet them as you might greet a friend, or maybe your character is, you know, cold and, you know, even if they are friendly with somebody, they wouldn't necessarily be just buddy-buddy with them. But if you don't know the person, their story, or the character you never met in RP, it really just depends on how your character would interact with a stranger. But I would like to sort of redirect back to the question that Blythe asked earlier about how do you separate yourself from the character?
Yes.
Because that is one of the most fundamental and important issues when it comes to role-playing. Because whenever there are problems between people, in character and out of character, it almost always stems from one or both not being able to separate themselves from the character that they're playing. So they'll take things personally, they'll be vindictive. It it's really, really important to know that you are not your character. And even if there's another character that's rude or hurts your character or whatever, that other person is not their character either. So it's all for the story. It's all for fun, you know.
I have another question that I can read for Theron.
Okay.
And this question is, how important is your wardrobe, and is there anything to avoid? What do you think about that, Theron?
Personally, I mean, wardrobe is very important to me because I just love having tons of different options. I have like 3 different suits for Theron that he can wear to events like these, and then there are tons of different other outfits that I've made for different RP scenarios, you know. Things to look out for, that really comes down to the character again. You know, however you have defined them, you don't want to stray too far from that. You know, if they're a pyromancer, you don't want to be dressing them in a bunch of icy armor or something. That would be a little strange. But those things are pretty on the nose. They're easy to see, easy to avoid. So I don't know that there's anything to avoid outside of just being true to the character that you've made.
So can I further that question by just a smidge?
I don't see why not.
Oh, okay. Wait.
You
But
knock
only-
yourself out,
Now
Blythe.
it's too late. Now
But only a smidge.
So only a smidge. So the Rift store, if you go down to the store and you go to the wardrobe, there's a bazillion things there. Like, and there's
Oh, I
really
know.
cool outfits, and there's like all these fun, fancy things to wear. It does not necessarily mean that they are RP appropriate. Is
Why
that
not?
fair to say?
Okay. As long as you have a reason to wear it, I don't see why it wouldn't be RP appropriate.
There are some
Yeah.
characters who they show a lot of skin,
Yeah.
and it is completely appropriate for them to wear those kinds of outfits.
Okay.
It might not be appropriate for your character, but
Right.
it might be appropriate for someone else's.
So it all comes down to your character's story and who they are.
Yep, and their personality.
that's-
And you always
okay.
have to remember the character is not the player. So if, for example, if I have a character who's wearing like a
Oh, Rivka, you're wearing that in real life. We know it.
right, I wish I looked like that in real life. The next question that we have submitted here is it okay to /whisper OOC to another player if you're confused or just have a question about their actions? Or should you always remain icy and attempt to solve your confusion this way? And before I turn this over to Theron, for me, I always do my best to figure stuff out in character. If someone isn't making sense, maybe it's on purpose. Maybe their character is not making sense on purpose. Or I can just role play that my character is not understanding, and she can ask them to further explain what their actions are or what they're saying or things like that. I try not to whisper people OOC during an RP unless I guess there's no other way to resolve something, or if you want to set up some kind of fight rules or something like that. What about you, Theron?
I personally prefer, to have as little OOC stuff going on while you're doing an RP event, but it really just depends on the circumstances. You just have to use discretion in whether or not you think that their character is being confusing for story purposes, or whether they're saying something that just does not make sense to you out of character, and you need some clarification before you can move forward. So I think it's really just down to discretion and the circumstances.
Oh, and I see Zrin has joined us in the Discord.
I have. Hello.
Welcome, Zrin. And Zrin, do you have any advice for people who are brand new role players or people who are trying to break into role playing? That's kind of what we've focused this episode on.
One thing that I think is worth mentioning is with Rift, the community here is very open. You don't have to stick to the Rift lore. So you've chosen a great game to start role-playing in, for one. There is basically complete role-play freedom. I've seen people from characters that have come from different universes and have just landed on Talara, and it's like, where am I? I've seen people play mortals. I've seen people, people who haven't have decided not to play the immortal ascended who can be resurrected. So there's that. They've intentionally forced the fear of death upon their character, so that manipulates their playstyle quite significantly. The chat system, find a format that you enjoy.
As you were talking about the open lore, or actually you were talking about how you don't have to follow Rift lore to RP, which is true. People will accept it, but one of the reasons is because, I mean, how do you know something like people say can't happen here? There is so much that can happen in this universe. Like if someone comes from a different universe and lands on Talara, I mean, we have a huge cosmos, and it's been written through the lore, this ginormous, cosmos that we have. We've had Akvan come here from so far away. Who's to say that we don't have all these other universes? It could all happen here. And so,
especially with, and this is a spoiler for some of the Nightmare Tide and up until recently Starfall Prophecy it was named, with the Tenebrians.
Right, right.
Like you say, huge cosmos. Anything can happen.
So when
with
people,
a game like World of Warcraft, it's very restrictive.
Very restrictive. It's very specific lore. But here, if someone says, "Oh, you're breaking lore," well, no one really even says that because it's really hard to do something that would break it.
I've never seen one person. Yeah, I've never seen any one person ever say you can't do that, it's against the law. I have seen people walk away from the scene that they weren't comfortable with, and things like that, which is a good thing to do.
And that's great advice. So for all the new role players, if there's ever anything that just kind of crosses the line, then the people who you're playing with, they're not going to hold it against you. Everybody has different thresholds. You just have to be open and communicate and say, I'd like to fade to black on this, or I'm not comfortable with this, so let's see if we can find a different way to do it.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of the whole if you don't like it, don't watch it thing, but in this situation where you might be playing a character who is very near and dear to you, someone who you've put a lot of work into, and especially if something comes up where you're like, I'm not okay with this as a player, you can quit. That option is there. There is no possible way for another player to force you to do something you don't want to do.
Well, I had to tell Churchill we're having another Primus on Saturday, and I had to get a new nurse. At the last Primus, he ate my nurse, my boggling nurse.
Oh no.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Worry,
So right, Rivka's like, I'll just get another one. But yeah, so there's the whole Primus going on. But then there was this whole other thing going on in the med bay, and just gore and blood everywhere. And at the end of the Primus, Churchill came up to Rivka and said, I am sorry about the mess.
Wow.
Well, Churchill is a fantastic role player, so he made it a very fun thing. People were running over there, and people were also watching and fighting in the Primus. What was going on over there, Theron? Because I never went over there.
Since Churchill, I think, had been beaten twice by Linkith in the Primus, he has a mechanic for his character called Humanity. And as far as I understand it, it determines how monstrous he becomes and behaves. So because he had lost twice and been humbled by Linkith, he became a bit more monstrous. And so he and, oh goodness, I can't even pronounce the girl's name right now because I can't remember it. she was there trying to be there while he was flipping out and eating boggling nurses.
Well, and I have a NPC patient in there. Did he eat the patient too?
Not as far as I know. I don't think he got that.
Okay.
Buck was dressed to dance on the tables the other night at the Noble Badger. That's all I'm saying.
I caught the tail end
Did you see it?
of that conversation. I didn't see it. I'd gone by then.
Yeah, I mean, and that, remember, because Blythe was like, well, there's so much scroll, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, just follow Buck around. That's, you know, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yep.
Pretty much all the ladies were following Buck everywhere.
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah. Until he started running, he was so busy.
I don't know if it's the character or if it's Buck's player actually just doing this on purpose. But I think that Buck maybe like had no experience with females at all and just doesn't get the hints as a character, because I constantly see all these, you know, girls and guys flirting with Buck, and he's just like, "Hi, nice to meet you." I'm like,
You gotta love
He's
Buck.
wearing like almost nothing.
Now, Theron, before we end our stream, did you have anything else that you wanted to add for new RPers?
Nope. I think that we have covered quite a bit, and I'm sure plenty more will come up in future streams.
Awesome.
Well, Blythe, we
Yeah.
sure appreciate you joining us tonight. Did you have? Well, we absolutely are so happy you were
We're
here.
changing our password tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.
Did you have any other questions for us?
No, you guys covered so many. I'm sure I'll have more by Saturday for the Primus.
All
but
right. Did you have
Yeah,
fun
but-
tonight?
I did have fun.
Jrin, did you have anything else to add before we end our stream tonight?
I would love to do this again, to join in with you guys and help answer questions.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Good night, you guys.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone who joined me, and thank you, everyone who's been listening and who came out to participate at the Tavern Pit Nights tonight. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Yes.
Like and
Good
subscribe.
night.
Good night.
Good night.